Hey guys, JoeBiz34 back again. My little chainsaw sound effect. I actually have one of those chainsaws I painted to match the color. It wasn't this color to start with. I'm sure a lot of you guys know which one it is out there, but it actually has a battery in it, and when you press it, so it's not really accurate to Leatherface per se, but it's good for background sound effects when needed. So anyway, as promised, I'm back here for part 2 of this review with the Leatherface by Kotobukiya, ArtFX, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74 statue. And you remember the part 1, I basically showed this guy right here, right? This one, which is the normal release. Now, I finally got in the one I actually technically ordered first. So I wanted to do a comparison like I promised, side by side, so you can see them there. And I mean, for the most part, it's awesome, but also underwhelming. Now, why is he awesome? He's awesome because this figure is awesome, period, and I'm still impressed with it. And if it was the only one I had, I would be very impressed with it. Why I'm underwhelmed is because it's really not that different from this one. And it could have very well been one release. Now, for whatever reason, they decided that this was going to be a limited preview exclusive, which is right here. See, PX Previews exclusive, limited to 1,000. So this one was numbered, I guess, from 1 to 1,000 for some reason. I don't know specifically what number I have, or if they're individually numbered, or they just saying that, you know, they made 1,000 of them and called it a day. The back of the box, same thing as the other one. Same information, basically. So as you can see, the big difference is the box. This is the box of the original one that I showed back when. And the only difference is it's the same exact box, except that this one is covered with blood, I guess, in the red, right? So it's the same thing, basically, except for the sticker and, you know, having more red color in the box to indicate the blood. And on the side here, where it's blank here, on this one, it says Slaughterhouse version. Okay, so this is supposedly the limited version. That's more rare. I got it through Big Bad Toy Store. I actually pre-ordered both of these through Big Bad Toy Store. So now the differences on the figure itself, not much. This one doesn't have any blood on the face, and this one does. But the blood is not too dramatic. So I would say that if this was your definitive version, if you had this guy, you'd be good. It's not too much blood where it ruins it or anything. It is cool. It's not necessary per se, but it's not overdone where, like, you don't need, you know, obviously 2 of these. And now that I have them both together, I could see that. You know, which one I would keep, I don't know. Maybe this one because it's more collectible, it's limited. And like I said, the blood is not that outrageous. It has some blood on the chainsaw, whereas this one does not. Okay. And the apron is a little more bloodier. Now, the apron is basically the same apron, as you can see here, because this apron has blood on it too. The only difference is that you see more of the splatter marks on the sides here, and the blood that's in the middle is more pronounced, right? It's more noticeable. You know, there's some blood on the hands there, as you can see, and it's very nice. I mean, the paintwork is great. It's just that I don't feel like the difference is enough to really warrant having both of them. It's cool that I have both of them, and I'm not going to complain. And again, I don't know. I'll decide whether I'm going to keep them both or not. I have an idea, which I'll show you guys in a minute, what I think I'm going to do. And same thing with the base. The base is the same one as this one, except once again, it does have some blood splatter on the base. So, you know, and on the shoes and stuff. So, I mean, it is consistent with what the version of it is. Same idea where it's magnetized, right? So, you know, he could stand on his own. Not completely. I mean, he's a little wobbly, so you're better off using the base. But the base, he just magnetizes right to the base, and you're done. So he's just as convenient and just as cool as this one. Now, the one other thing I did notice, which is kind of odd, is that for some reason, on this guy, the head just doesn't seem to be as articulated. You can move it around, so you could turn it to its side, you could turn it this way, you can kind of make him face down. But this guy seems to have a head that, like, is a little more, I don't know, it just feels a little easier to maneuver. There seems to be just slightly more range with this one. And I don't know if that's just luck of the draw or if there's something different with this version. But the way you can kind of like move his head around, you can't, like, you don't have as much range going up and down here as this guy. This guy, you can really make him look down like that, see? And then make him look up. Where this one, you can't really go down much further. I mean, you can, but you kind of have to force it. Or maybe it's just tighter. I don't know. I mean, you could still do it. It just seems like a lot easier. See, I mean, they're ultimately facing the same way, but I don't know. There's just something. He has more of a hunched down appearance and a little more easier to manipulate than this one. But overall, it's pretty much the same figure. It just, like I said, has a little more of the blood effects on it. It's equally as awesome, but here's what I was thinking I'm going to do, all right? So if I keep both of them, he's more bloody, so it makes sense that he's got the chainsaw in his arms, right? This is more of a pre-blood Leatherface, even though there's some dried blood in the apron, but this is like clean. He didn't do anything yet, and this is like before, and this is after, right? So this is my thinking. Hold on one sec. All right, I'm back, and I just wanted to show you what I did here, and I just wanted to get him in place before I showed it. So, basically, with having two of them, logically, if you get two of them, or if you get two of the same, or if you get one of the exclusive and, the Slaughterhouse version, the regular version, this would be my obvious choice of display here, keeping both of them. So basically, you have your before and after, right? So you have your, okay, he's not bloody yet, right? He's looking down and he's cranking up the chainsaw there with the string out, and that's the alternate pose that you could put him in. And basically the before, and then after. All right, after he's used the chainsaw, he's got the chainsaw going now. He's obviously used it on his victim. It's got the blood splattered all over the chainsaw, his arms, hands. And, there's a little bit of remnants of the blood, so you can see the blood subtly in the skin. Great skin texture, by the way. And I love the arms on this guy. And then, obviously, the splatter and the blood all over the apron and the floor and the shoes and so on. So, it makes sense. So, again, it's not drastically different. But, hey, if you're a Leatherface or horror fan, and you want both, there's a purpose for both, right? You could definitely have two different looks going at the same time. I like the looking down look where he's, focusing on getting the chainsaw cranked up and ready and going and running. And then the, obviously the pose of the after when he's in attack mode. So, this obviously is a good option. Now, just to put this in perspective too, this is technically 12 inches or 1/6 scale, at least by ArtFX's version. Now, I have a Leatherface custom one that's, I've shown in videos before and pictures. It is a customized 301 that somebody made kind of look a little more accurate. Now, the funny thing is, comparing them real quick, you could really see the difference in scaling. And honestly, I mean, you would be the judge as far as like what looks better, right? But if you look at it in the middle, it really is a whole different look. Obviously a true 1/6 figure with the clothing and the 3-0 body and what have you, and the head, it looks a little out of scale compared to these guys, right? Or I should say these guys look a little out of scale compared to the figure. Now, just to show you how great these ArtFX statues are, I mean, really, dollar for dollar, I think that, the statues have a far more authentic look, than this version. But now, again, this has been modified, not by me, but, if you look at the 3-0 version, and other mass-produced, actual 1/6 figures with the clothing and such, you can't capture that same, at least not built up this way, than, the way these guys are. This is very true in form to the film. It's got the, I think the head sculpt and the mask is really great. The sculpt is great. The strings coming out, the way the hair is, the pose and the stature. I mean, if you want to look at it from behind too, I mean, the clothing looks real. And by the way, guys, this is something else I just noticed. From the back on his butt, mainly, it looks like there's a little more weathering going on there. It looks like he's got a lot more dirt there than if you look at this one. I mean, there's some there, but it's definitely more extreme on this side, comparing butts. But again, the 3-0 outfit, just to compare now, it's still nice to have the real clothing, the real apron, the actual bracelet that you can see dangling. The chainsaw is pretty even Steven there. And then here's the back of him, or at least the 3-0 clothing. Again, if you look at the overall look, I mean, if you were to pick, I mean, again, this has its qualities, having real clothing and everything. I'm not taking anything away from that. If you have a higher end custom or something, it looks better, whether it's the Beta Mortali version or so on and so forth, or customized versions in general, ones that maybe, were put together by one's custom sculpt, whatever. Of course that elevates it. But it's funny, you know, when you really look at the statue, it looks, first off, the weathering, I've said this even with this one, the weathering and the look of the clothing looks great, even though it's a statue. It is a solid piece. It's not cloth, but it has a cloth appearance. It really is nice. I gotta say, it really is awesome. And again, it doesn't take away anything from, from this guy, you know, or other types of Leatherfaces. But, you know, sometimes with a statue or a certain pose and posture, you really can capture, you know, a moment, you know, or a pose in the film better. Now, I wanted to show you one more thing. Obviously, you guys have seen before, you know, I have the remake Leatherface from One's Customs I've shown before. And this is one I wanted to show real quick. This is the grandma version from Sideshow. And then right here, I have the pretty Leatherface version. I just wanted to show you guys this. I'm going to do a full review on this, but this is one that I've recently updated and customized from the Sideshow Pretty Woman Leatherface being the base. This is basically that. Changed the body out, weathered it more. The chainsaw is green, but as you can see on film, it kind of comes out like this one. These also have like a tint of green to it to be accurate, but on film, it kind of comes out more yellow. But I think you can kind of see with certain lighting and the way I'm spinning here, you could see the green kind of coming out there that I added to the chainsaw and so on and so forth. So I haired it myself and kind of added hair. This is definitely a lot more accurate, I think, to the actual character in the scene. So once again, you know, you could see here, it mixes in quite well. If you have a display of something like this, you know, even if it's just one of them, just say, it looks good. It definitely passes. It definitely passes for 1/6 scale, and it works. It fits in. I mean, these two here together look great. So, and like I said, I'm going to do a full review on him to kind of focus more on him right now. This is just a little preview. I've shown pictures of this online. I have not shown them on video yet, but I'll get more in depth on him. But you know, again, I'm going to pause and show you something else. So this is the granny face version, right? The granny mask version. I didn't really do any customizing to the head sculpt yet or anything like that, like I did with him. But I did, you know, complete this into an alternate figure. Now, once again, this is utilizing the 3.0 body, just like you saw my custom 74 look with the yellow apron I showed before, like this guy. And then this guy is using a custom body that I put him on. So that's not the Sideshow body. But this is a 3.0 body. Blends in well. Now look at the three together. Right? Now this is just to show you an example of the collection. Like if you have this 74 Leatherface in your collection, he fits in. You know, it fits. It works, I think. You know, regardless if they're out of the box or customized or what, it works. So, you know, I think for anybody that has any sort of reservations for that, you could definitely work this into your collection and have it work. So, anyway, once again, one last look. This is the PF Preview Slaughterhouse exclusive version of the ArtFX Kotobukiya 1/6 scale Leatherface from the 1974 portrait. And this is the, you know, again, basically the bloodier version that's limited to 1,000 pieces. It does not have a specific number. It's not numbered, but apparently, according to the box and what I've read, they've only made 1,000 of this version. Is it extreme enough to get two? Absolutely not. I think it's nice if you want both so you can have the separate looks like I did here. But if you only had to pick one and you only had one of these two, I think you're fine. So really your call. If you're a completionist like me and you like to have both versions, or because this one is limited, you know, go for it. And, you know, or like you said, you can have multiple poses. So I like the idea of having the two different versions of how you can pose them working together here. So that's nice. So there you go, guys. Saw is family. And by the way, I did see the new Leatherface movie that premiered on Netflix. I am recording this on the day that it was released, which is February 18th on a Friday on Netflix 2022. I watched it. It's an hour and 23 minutes, and without going into too much depth in the review, because I'm, you know, that's not the purpose of this film, or this review, but I will say this, guys. It was good. I enjoyed it. It's a guilty pleasure film. It definitely did the job of being a respectable sequel. There's still things about it that I had problems with. It was a little too short. I would have liked it to have been longer. But then again, you know, for what it is, it doesn't really need to be longer. It's a horror film. You know, they kind of get to the point and are done with it. I could nitpick it. There were certain things to the plot or something that I felt like wasn't necessary. But I have to say, you know, considering the fact that this franchise hasn't been very successful with their sequels, right? The remakes were pretty good, and then they went back to making sequels to the other one. The prequel they did a little while ago to the original I thought was awful. The sequel they did where it kind of picked up at the end of the 74 one, and then it was like the grandkid, or she was the niece or whatever whatever that one was. That was horrible. Most of the sequels were a big fail, you know, and you know there may have been some good qualities mixed in there, but as a coherent, you know, franchise as far as like, you know, all making sense, they really didn't, and some were worse than others. But I have to say, you know, whether you like this one or not, it definitely is a respectable sequel. It was well done. It wasn't really that out there. It still had, like I said, I still had issues with it, but I could say that this one was respectable, and it was well made for what it was, I feel. So give your comments and thoughts in the thread here in my review video here. Please subscribe to me if you enjoy my reviews. I don't really ask that too often, but you know, if you like my reviews, you like my vids, subscribe to me, and a lot more to come, guys. So in the meantime, once again, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, the PF Slaughterhouse exclusive version. Got the whole family going on here. Nice group shot right here. Makes a good family portrait picture. And, you know, I say, you know, whether it's this one or the normal one, go get one of them. They're really nice. All right, till next time, guys. Peace out.